Hello and welcome back to Cemetery Scout. Today I'm out at the Marshall-Hopkins-Potter lot in Burrillville, Rhode Island. Now this is probably going to be a pretty quick episode because I don't have a whole lot of graves I want to tell you about. This is a real pretty cemetery in the height of fall in New England, so let's go take a look around. Now, as you might have guessed from the name, there's a whole lot of the Hopkins family buried here in the cemetery, the most famous of which is probably this guy, Augustus Hopkins. See, back in 1835, old Augustus started a company called A. Hopkins & Co. Spindle Makers and Machinists, which then went on to power a whole lot of the early industrial economy here in Burrillville. In fact, I read that this guy's company back in the day was actually the primary source of spindles here in the United States. Now next up we got over here Augustus's son, Stephen M. Hopkins. Now Stephen also worked at A. Hopkins for a little while before eventually leaving to join Rhode Island's 12th Infantry and fight for the Union in the Civil War. Now, not to get a little bit too graphic, but Stephen's story does end a bit sad. He fought in the Battle of Fredericksburg, was unfortunately injured, had to have his left foot amputated, and eventually died of his injuries. He was only 26. Thanks, Stephen. Over here we got Augustus's great-grandson, Edwin J. Potter. Now, Edwin eventually took control of A. Hopkins & Co. in 1913, but his accomplishments extend far beyond that. He was also a successful city engineer and surveyor. I even read that he mapped out some roads here in Burrillville, and eventually he even went down to inspect the Panama Canal during its construction. Unfortunately, he too died at a pretty young age, 36, after a battle with influenza. Now over here we got Edwin's little sister, Mabel P. Osler. Now this one is a little weird from the stuff I normally talk about on this show, but you know, it just really got me thinking. The only thing I could turn up when I was researching Mabel was an issue of the Music Courier from 1922. Now the Music Courier was an 18th and 19th century music trade magazine. The particular edition that I was able to find was volume 85, published in 1922. And the Courier had a section called Across the Country, which detailed some smaller concerts and musical events that had happened across the United States recently. One of the concerts played in this particular issue was a benefit concert played by the Harrisville Glee Club for the Burrillville District Nursing Association on June 9th, 1922. Now this passage lists all the soloists for the concert, one of which was contralto soloist Mabel Potter Osler. Now, I obviously can't be absolutely sure that this is the correct Mabel, but all the dates and geography lines up pretty well, so I'd say it probably is. Now, this is the only record of Mabel I could ever find, the only thing in her life that she ever did that I could find a piece of information on. Unfortunately, she died at the age of 26, just a little bit after that solo, a little over a year. And you might be wondering, isn't that a little dull? Why am I telling you about a solo that was sang almost 100 years ago? But really think about it for a second. How much practice do you think Mabel put into that solo? How much time did she spend working on it? How do you think she slept the night before the solo? Was she tossing and turning all night, feeling that mixture of like anxiety and excitement that you feel before you're about to do something big? Do you think that when she sang it, she knew that she only had a little over a year left to live? And isn't it interesting that 100 years later, the only piece of information that I was able to dig up about her that isn't carved into this piece of rock right here is that she sang that solo? You never know what you're going to be remembered for, and you never know how much you got left. I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed the video.